Greetings! I am Monster D. I know that there are many new faces appearing around my monstrous corner of the world. Be you seeing this on YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere else, I welcome you and I thank you for showing up. To my longtime fans, or for those who have been around for just a little while, I also thank each and every one of you. Today, I am going to have what some of the internet video artists like to call a real talk. As real as someone with a funny hat and a cape can be anyway. I want to start off by essentially talking to you about where I have been and what I have been doing lately. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you might know, at the beginning of the year, I set for myself a few big goals. Among them was to continue my daily monster drawings, as well as to produce bi-weekly YouTube videos, as well as producing weekly updates on my personal project, Project D. Well, if you've been around for a little while, you might have noticed that the YouTube videos have not been coming, neither have the Project D updates. So I wish to talk a little bit about what has been happening with that. Essentially, I suppose we can go back to right around the beginning of June. I had a few very large computer-based issues in which my computer would not function. It essentially shut down. And through a lot of ways and means of trying to resuscitate it, ultimately I did. However, I actually lost a massive amount of content. I had a fully finished video. I had several semi-finished and in-production videos, and all of it, or almost all of it, essentially just got wiped and destroyed. First of all, I do wish to apologize for any of you who had been anticipating these eminent videos, but this is a window into what has been happening with me. So yes, I lost a massive chunk of information. So the days or the weeks went by, and I kept almost starting these projects, and then I kept not starting these projects. They just kept not happening. It's a bit hard for me to explain, but I would sit there and think about doing things and think about doing things and just not do them. And like my videos, the same can essentially be said for Project D. You know that Project D is near and dear to my heart. It is the next step in what I like to call the Monster Revolution. But once I lost all that information, once I had that sort of slog in time and missteps, I sort of froze and just stopped working on it. However, those of you on Facebook who have been there for a while obviously know that my daily monster drawings have continued quite successfully, I think. And I thank all of you for interacting and commenting and liking and sharing and all that you have done. For any of you who just have liked any of my channels or spaces and just happen to scroll by and see my art and even think about it, I am quite thankful for each and every one of you. Okay? So, with this in mind, and considering the issues that I have had, I want to start to step in and talk a little bit about something that some of you have actually asked me about personally. As I am shooting this, I was most recently at a Harry Potter's birthday event at a local mall, and some of you I've talked to at great length and or in brevity about what I do. So what I'd like to do now is something I've wanted to do actually since the very beginning of my channel, is talk a little bit about A, what got me started, and B, what are some of the reasons that I do what I do. Okay? So the very first thing that sort of kick-started this whole personal monster journey was something that I've been calling the Kaiju a Day project. You know, for, as some of you may know, or as I may have told you, of course, you know that I was not born with the hat and the cape. I was not always the master of monsters that you see. I was once just a man, just a person, which I still am just a person with a little more strange pizzazz now. But at one point, I was sort of down in the dumps, not sure what to do with my art. I had all this sort of raw talent and actual education, and I'd sat on it for a very long time, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to turn, just feeling stuck. And to have a whole lot of talent and to not do anything with it, I don't know if you can relate, but for me, it's definitely it's a mealy kind of a feeling. It's not a very nice feeling. So for many years, I would dream and I would think of things I wanted to do. I would start a project and I would stop. I would begin an idea and I would let it go. I would try to pick up a project and I wouldn't go anywhere. Finally, I came across an article that I had seen across the internet about a gentleman who works for the Pixar company. This person did what he called, he didn't call it anything. He just drew a superhero every day for a year. I saw that and I liked that idea, so I took it to myself. I decided I wanted to do that. I could do it. It was simple. But me being me, and also keep in mind this is right around the 2003-2004 era, so I've always been a fan of giant monsters, but right around then, the new Godzilla movie was on the rise, or already out, and as well as having Pacific Rim in the collective consciousness of the public. So for the first time, a lot of people were getting used to the term kaiju, the Japanese term for giant monster, essentially. So I decided to do the Kaiju a Day project. This began at the very beginning of 2014, and every day for the entire year of 2014, I drew a monster. I drew a monster. I drew a monster. I had no idea what I was going to do with that. I just knew that every day I would draw a monster. At the time, I was not even using a computer. I was just using pens, pencils, markers, and paper at the time. I kept it very, very simple. I really wasn't showing these off to too many people at all, unless they asked if they happened to see me drawing. So all the while I just kept drawing and drawing, and over the course of months and days, little ideas, little nuggets of inspiration would form, and over time I came across various things which inspired me to go back, to take this art and take it out into the public. I wanted to entertain, I wanted to inform and inspire, I wanted to connect with other people through my own interests and share them with others, as well as have them share their interests with me. So, through a series of events, Monster D was born. To talk about some of the reasons that I wanted to become Monster D, I sort of just went through one of the big reasons, and that whole Monster a Day thing was to squash my own apathy, as well as, I don't know if you want to call it depression or sadness or just a stuck state, but I wanted to deal with these personal issues with me. I wanted to acknowledge that I have them, but create a system which would allow me to overcome them and plow through them. So that was something that I wanted to do from the very start. Another reason I became Monster D, something else I've wanted to do, is become what I've always sort of felt I have been, but I want to be in a louder way, and that is what I like to call a conduit, or a bridge. I've always felt that I am sort of in between worlds, different scenarios I want to go out into the public. I want to meet you people, and I want to show you things that you're not used to, that you may not even be comfortable with. But these are things that I believe are factually safe, but perhaps everyone isn't necessarily used to thinking of in that term. So I toss the word around a lot. Monster, monster, monster. Sometimes when I see you in person and I say, hey, are you in the mood for a monster? Someone might say something to the effect of, I don't like monsters, they scare me. Well, that's where I come along. I want to help you to not be scared of these fictitious monsters. I want to show you that fictional monsters can be many things. They don't have to be scary. They can be sweet. But even if they appear scary, they are just fictitious. They are just on paper or on a screen. They cannot actually hurt you. I want to be sort of a comforting source, a go-to point between you, between even some of my younger viewers, even children, between themselves and these scary images. I want you to learn, I want people to learn that these things aren't necessarily to be feared. That's also why we talk about animals a lot. If you've been around at any of my live events, you will know that I'm quite fond of animals and talking about them at length. And I've found that through animals, and in particular insects, the more you learn about them, the more you know about them, the less they seem fearsome, the less you worry about what they might do to you, and the more you know exactly what they can and cannot do. And that creates a form of respect, you know, when you learn why something is there. So I like talking about things like the monsters, like unusual or strange looking animals. I also get into talking about things like my music, like heavy metal, which I know is something that not everyone is into or feels comfortable with. But again, this is another area where I think some more people can learn about and to learn from, and to gain an appreciation and to dispel some fears and some myths. You know, I believe that in different kinds of music, perhaps music that you may or may not be used to listening to, there are lyrics that contain messages, that contain positivity, that contain ways of dealing with and releasing anger and stress, which not everybody is necessarily tapped into. So I want to help them tap into these things. I want people to have a greater level of access and comfort towards things that they just are not used to, towards the unusual. And I am all about being a font of unusualness. So these are among the reasons why I am Monster D. So when you come to my YouTube channel, when you come to my Facebook page, when you come to wherever I am, you know, I like to say that there might be some slightly odd or strange images. I do what I can to keep everything family friendly and open for all. But of course you're going to see monsters. You're going to see things that have claws and teeth and tentacles and that sort of thing. But I want you to always know and be aware that none of these things can actually hurt you. There are enough things in real life which can hurt you, which perhaps you should fear or at least be aware of. So I'm here to help alleviate a few extra worries from your mind. So I hope when you come, I hope you are entertained, if nothing else, and perhaps I might even be fortunate enough to enrich your person, to help you learn some things that perhaps you did not know before. I'm not sure if this will happen, but I certainly always hope that it does. For those of you who have, come to me and talked in person, I thank you for this. That is another thing. In addition to my having technical difficulties, I also have been traveling a lot from venue to venue, from event to event, having an amazing time, meeting some amazing people, having conversations and hearing stories and sharing facts and information, which I never would have gleaned before. That could actually be a separate video, just talking about stories that people have shared with me at cons. Perhaps we'll look into that in the future. But I don't know. I hope that what I have spoken of here is meaningful to someone out there, to you, hopefully. I hope that you continue to enjoy all that I do for you, for all my monster fans, for everybody. It seems like a fair spot to cut things out, so I will end by saying what I always like to say, and that is, in the most positive way, stay monstrous, Monster D. Rah!